Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again,
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome, dissidents. Good evening. Welcome, one and all. This is the DueDissidence podcast. My name is Keaton Weiss, here, of course, with Russell Dobular.
Shalom.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
That's welcome. In honor of the new Jewish Superman.
Oh, did a Jewish guy get cast as Superman?
It's about fucking time. Created by Jews, a metaphor for Jews.
That's right.
Finally, we don't have a freaking Goy playing Superman.
We've been waiting a long time for this.
Christopher Reeve, God bless him, the poor man, but he what a Goy he was.
All right, well, we have a Goy in the waiting room here, so let's make sure we get to him here. Our special guest this evening, you all know him as the co-host of the Convo Couch, and you could find him on Twitter at Yo Pasta, Craig Pasta Jardula, Yo Pasta, K Pasa. What's going on? Thanks for joining.
There's our affirmative action hire for the evening. They told us we didn't have enough Italians.
Well, I'm coming you from the land of, your people, right? Boca Raton, Highland Beach, water over here. So, I had many nicknames growing up. And in fact, at one point, people were calling me Meatball, after they started calling me Pasta because I was complaining. And I shut up and it went back to Pasta. But my favorite nickname of all time was Mensch. And it was by this girl. I had a crush on. Her father said, you know what, Pasta? You're such a Mensch. You're the world's greatest Mensch. And to me, that was one of the, the best nicknames I've ever had.
Well, you are a Mensch. It's an accurate nickname in your case. You're definitely a Mensch. And actually, I was going to ask you how you got the nickname Pasta, because I think it's a great nickname, because pasta, it's a comfort food. It's a food we all love. It's a food we kind of know we're not supposed to eat, but no one really hates on pasta. You know what I mean? Like, people hate on fast food. They hate on fried food. You're not supposed to eat this and that and, booze and stuff. Pasta is like that one food. It's like a guilty pleasure that everybody embraces and everybody enjoys.
Yeah,
and that's kind of you in a nutshell, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. A lot of your peeps, they love, a lot of Italian food over here. We go to a lot of these restaurants around here, and they're loving your food out here, my man. And who doesn't love pasta?
Oh yeah.
But I did get the nickname because I basically, my grandma used to make me take pasta to school a couple times, and the kids just started calling me Pasta. And like I said, I complained. They called me Meatball. And I shut up. And when I went to my freshman year of high school, it was the last day of school. People were calling me Craig. I'm like, all right, I'm past this. We're moving on, because I spent a couple years in Catholic school. And I said, we're moving on over here. We're going to be Craig. And some kid at the basketball court was like, holy shit, everybody, it's Pasta. And I was like, there you go.
Well, you made it work for you, man. Look at that.
You embraced it.
Yeah.
I owned it, my friends. I owned it.
I'm going to the homeland of your ancestors in September, and they tell me the pasta there is not like heavy like here, like it's not, doesn't make you sleepy like American pasta. Not
Italian American pasta. How dare you?
Well, what we have over here.
You're in New York. I mean, the Italian food in America was pretty much birthed from right around where you guys are from.
Well, yeah, sure.
It's true.
Sure. Well, we still have Lombardi's over there, the first pizzeria. in
Well,
Little Italy.
for how long? Until they start taking away their stoves, right? You know?
Yeah, they're starting about. You did a segment on that.
About the coal-fired stoves.
Yeah, they're cracking down on the coal oven pizzeria. Yeah, Lombardi's is one of them. I think there are a couple other ones that were grandfathered in because coal ovens have been outlawed for a while, but the current ones were grandfathered in at the time.
Yeah.
So now they're talking about, I think, taking away that status and getting rid of all the coal oven joints.
Joe's is one of them, right?
Joe's.
Is it Bleeckers? Are they on Bleecker Street? I'm not sure. I'm so far removed from New York. It's
Grimaldi's.
Grimaldi's? Okay.
Grimaldi's, that's coal oven.
They have a coal oven.
Okay.
The one on Bleecker Street is, I don't think that's coal oven.
No,
That's the one on Friends, right? What's the one on Friends?
John's? Is that on Friends?
John's is the Friends one. Yeah,
exactly. Spumoni Gardens isn't coal.
Friends is one of those shows that I don't watch because I don't want to go postal.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me clear this up for everybody. Okay. So here's what we're doing this evening. Okay. Tom says the Rumble is not working. So we're not on Rumble yet. We're going to be on Rumble at 9:30. Rumble's technology is not as advanced as YouTube. So I can't schedule 2 Rumble streams in advance. I can only schedule one at a time. So we had to put this stream on YouTube. At 9:30, our Rumble stream will begin. So what's going to happen is at around 9:20, we will wrap here. We will meet you on the other side of the Berlin Wall over on Rumble, and we will do the red pill portion of the show. That's how we're going to work this, okay? The link to our Rumble channel is in the description of this video, so it's very easy to find us. Click that. That goes to our channel. Hit the follow button, and you will see it. So it's a 2-part show. We are not on Rumble now. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter now. We will be on Rumble, Rokfin, and Twitter exclusively at 9:30. But thank you, Tom, for bringing that to my attention.
If you didn't order your 3D glasses, it might be a little out of sync for you. But for those of you with the 3D glasses, it's going to be like we're right in your living room.
Exactly.
I got to ask you guys. I've only watched about 4 of your shows, and 2 of them recently. Obviously, the Jordan one, which I had to watch, because who would want to watch that? That was great.
Must-see TV, baby.
Yeah. It was definitely worth it. It was awesome too, especially the personal experiences I've had with Jordan. I don't even know if you know about.
He tried to get your show canceled, right? This is what I've heard from some people.
Not really.
I don't have personal experience of it.
He said that we should be censored and we were responsible. We stoked what happened at the Capitol on January 6th.
Like you in particular, right?
We didn't know anybody there, dude. Like this was the Convo Couch still stretching out our wings back then, going to talk to conservatives. I wanted to get on the stage at the Capitol on January 6th, and my friend Tim Canova was already set to speak. And you know how it is when conservatives have a chance to use Democrats to exploit us against other establishment Democrats. I was like, use me. I'm an election guy. Come on, let me get on there. This ex-Democrat is going to even say that the elections had a lot of funny business. I don't want to talk too much because even though YouTube says that they've changed their algorithm back to allow you to speak about elections,
it sounds to me like what you're saying, Pasta, is that you could have stopped January 6th if they let you speak, right?
According to Jordan Sheridan.
You could have stopped it if they let you speak. You didn't speak.
Yeah, right.
So he should be upset you weren't there. You could have saved you could have stopped the coup.
He wasn't there because he's clearly not a Fed.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's the thing too, though. His camera guy was there, and his camera guy had been there with the Stop the Steal rally, which was a couple days before, and there was a Julian Assange rally. And I was the one of the
guy
group,
with the beard, or it's a different guy for DC.
It's
a guy with a beard that he has.
Yeah, Italian guy. He's awesome. I mean, we recently kind of bumped heads on the whole Ukrainian thing. He did some work with Ford Fisher when he went in from the east side of Ukraine, where it's a little bit more Kiev friendly, depending on how you want to say that. But he was there because I convinced him. I'm like, no, you guys got to be here. And the whole time, we went. I was saying, after the Stop the Steal, which was about 50 people, there was 3 days of that. Jackson Hinkle was there. A weird combination of people. But Jordan had sent his cameraman out there because Jordan was covering that. And, I even tried to make a plea to kind of build a bridge with Jordan, because me and Jordan had bad blood going back from his issues with Nico House and Tim Black. I mean, they go way back before I even had a show. And that kind of carried over when we were close with Nico House and part of his network, and we kind of bumped heads, me and Jordan. But I was trying to, extend an olive branch. And I told his camera guy. I'm like, dude, you got to come with me. Call Jordan. Tell him you got to come. There's going to be a couple 100,000 people here. Believe you me. And the whole time Fiorella is going, no. Come on. There's not going to be a couple 100,000 people, my fam. Watch. And sure enough, a couple 100,000 people were there. Now, a couple 100,000 people didn't go in. But, when that event happened, Jordan, for some reason, lost his shit on that day as things were going down. And they were actually they inserted a curfew. They're like, get out of here now. We're shutting everything down. There's a curfew in the city. That's it. At that time, Congress was hiding. AOC was wondering if she would ever have children again. That kind of thing, right? And we went back to do a live stream.
From what I understand, it was Viator. Wasn't Viator pushing a lot of tours of the Capitol that day? And
who's Viator?
Everyone just showed up at the same time.
That was a little too inside baseball, Russell. Viator is one of the major sightseeing tour resellers.
The general public doesn't use that.
Yeah, I mean that was a little. A little too inside.
While Viator was doing his thing, right? Whatever. We go back to our Airbnb. And Jordan's having a live stream, and he's cursing us, and he's getting mad at us, and we're like, "What, dude?" We didn't know. We were the leftist that was election integrity people. You know what I'm saying? And we were the ones that were just his target. And shortly after, and that was because online we got into a little spat. It was actually, I'm gonna do a little dirty talk over here. It was me, Michael Tracy. I was arguing with Michael Tracy, Jordan Sheridan, and Aaron Matei, the three of them, about elections, and I was like, come on, guys, let's go. Let's debate this. They didn't want to come on my shows or whatnot. And, I thought a lot of them talked to me a little bit disrespectful. But now it's so funny because just like this whole COVID narrative, when it comes to this book and everything, everybody's singing the blues and they're talking about stuff we were talking about a couple years ago, which leads me to my question. Like you said, the Red Pill show is going to be over on Rokfin and Rumble before. After listening to your last show, there you go, buddy. After listening to your last show, how often do you guys kind of get a little red pillish, kind of like tinfoil hatty and stuff? Because it seems like you guys are kind of getting in that area when I hear you guys speak, especially from your last show, when you're going to start going a little bit higher or a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, depending on what metaphor you want to talk about.
All right, well, I'll answer. I'll just say a couple of quick things, and then we'll get to the program here. First of all, congratulations. It's the first time Michael Tracy has ever been involved in any kind of dirty talk. Okay, that is the first time ever, and probably the last time. Second, I said that somewhat in jest because, oddly enough, Pasta, we actually have a pretty blue pill lineup this week. It just so happened Republicans were kind of in the news this week, and so we end up just having to dunk on Republicans, which is something we don't normally do. So
we invited you on for the TYT show.
Yeah, right, exactly. It just happened to work out that way. We didn't intend it. We don't dunk on Republicans.
We're gonna pat Alana's ass for shoes.
Yeah,
do old school TYT.
Well, I did hear somebody say, by the way, that like DueDissidence is what a lot of people thought the Vanguard would eventually be, but they started sucking, and these guys are going and just getting more steam behind them and getting more following and really finding a rhythm,
Well, I mean, look, on Ukraine, on economic issues, on electoral politics, we like to think of ourselves as being pretty red-pilled, and we like to think of ourselves as going there a lot. And I noticed, especially in the past few shows, we've been hitting some issues pretty hard, and so we hope to keep that going, of course. But one thing I do want to just make known to everybody, you've seen this, we've seen this in recent weeks. This is why. And Pasta, you and I have talked about this offline, on the phone, through text, through DM, the importance of building these alternative platforms. It's a necessity at this point. I'm 37 years old. I have 2 kids. I cannot afford to martyr myself and deplatform myself. So if there are platforms that will allow us to cover certain content, that's where we're going to do it. I don't think of YouTube as the show. I think of YouTube as the theater. DueDissidence is the show. YouTube is a theater we play as much as we can, but if there are certain shows we can't play in this theater because of the house rules, then we'll
like
take
our
it
Catskills.
somewhere else. That's it, right? It's like the Catskills, right? Exactly. That's the way I see it. And it's just very, very important that people follow everybody who you appreciate on all of these alternative platforms. Convo Couch is on Rumble. They're on Rokfin. Pasta, you have a Give, Send, Go that's set up right now that I want you to plug here because I want people to support you as well, my man. It's very important. It's getting to a point where, remember how people used to say, hey, the climate is changing. Pretty soon it's going to get bad. Well, now in upstate New York, my neck of the woods, 5 out of the last 20 days, we have had an air quality alert in effect.
Yeah,
so like,
we have
just
one
like
in the city
right.
today.
So just like we're there now, like we're here now when it comes to independent media, where we have to actually start making the move to these alternative platforms. That's why we're splitting the show tonight. And that's why you push your alternative platform. So I want to give you a chance first to plug your Give, Send, Go that you got going now.
Well, yeah, and I'm hoping that people are going to support my Give, Send, Go, not just because of the work I do, but who I am. And that's kind of like when it comes to you guys. I think you guys are really down-to-earth people, and that's really important. A lot of people are buying into people who are genuine more than anything, and that's what I really think about, DueDissidence. And, that's why I'm hoping that people get behind me, because they just say, hey, man, this is just a citizen journalist who's a very genuine kid who just grabs a microphone, grabs a camera, and gets out there and does these things. That's going to encourage people to do these things as well and kind of follow in, our footsteps and everything we're doing here, because unfortunately we're doing this stuff because we need to do it. It's out of necessity. The mainstream media has really, just excuse my French, shit the bed, and we need truth tellers out there. So, this Give, Send, Go is not just about going and covering RFK, and you can see it's givesendgo.com/RFK, all in caps, please, and media. And I've been getting some great donations. There's also my Cash App link in there, my Venmo. I just announced it yesterday, and what I want to do is I want to get out on the campaign trail. Now, I should also announce that I'm going to focus on RFK, and I'm sure we're going to have some conversations today on why RFK or Cornel West is the better candidate and what could happen and where they're going and everything that's been, transpired in the last couple of days, because there's a lot of screwery, by the way. I'm sure you guys probably saw that RFK kind of moonwalked or backtracked on his gun statement at PorkFest in New Hampshire, where they have live free or die on your license plate, and a lot of gun token people over there, to kind of a little bit more cushiony in the, what's the name of that network? That Nation, whatever it was. News Nation. Yeah. Where
that's the one that got Chris Cuomo, right?
Yeah. Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly.
They have Bill O'Reilly on there?
Oh, God, he's so bitter and he's so bad. We played a little clip of him today over on Shanda's show. He's just so, oh, my Lord. But while I'm doing this campaign work and getting out there, and I want to set up at these events like, MSNBC and CNN. I'm going to get some director's chairs. I'm going to get my cars going. I'm going to buy good lavaliers. I'm going to buy a good camera because the guy I have, I'm going to hire a camera guy. I'm going to just do it all up. And I'm going to go on RFK's set. I'm obviously trying to get as friendly as I can with the campaign. I've already been on a couple shows and a couple stages now with Dennis Kucinich. It's kind of amazing. One of the highlights of my life, because I do like him. But I think he's a little pissed at me for that first question I asked him, that's kind of started that sandstorm about his stance on Israel and Palestine. My first question is the hardest one. But while he is not on doing a rally or whatever, I'm going to hit some other campaigns up, because Dr. Cornel West has opened the door and said, hey, Brother Pasta, you want to come in here and cover this stuff? You come do it. He said it on the stream. So I'm going to go over there. If Vivek Ramaswamy is around the corner, I'm going to go over there. If Marianne Williamson is around the corner, I'll go over there. So I'm going to start another YouTube channel, and I'm going to call it The Campaign for the Campaigns. And I'm going to just try to take, once again, no corporate funding, so nobody can tell me what to do. I'm going to strike fear. You can call me the campaign killer if you want. I'm going to strike fear in a lot of these people, even the people I admire. I'm going to ask the tough questions. But I'm going to just try to be what I believe, journalism or commentating or covering a campaign should be. And that's just honest, straightforward questions that the people want to know about. And I can converse with my audience. And I'd love to offer you guys commentating, because I'm going to be live streaming where I'm at all the time. I'm setting myself.
Oh, we'd love that,
be
man.
On the
That'd
go.
be awesome.
So,
we would love that. That would be great. I mean, that sounds like a great project.
A
And so once again, Give, Send, Go /RFK. media. It's getting to that point now where really, folks, like, seriously, our fate as creators are in your hands. They really are. So when we talk about a Patreon, when we talk about these fundraising things, we can no longer rely on these big tech platforms to sustain us. We have to rely on all of you guys. And so let me just, before we get into our segments here, thank Dwayne Vogel for signing up and becoming a member. We appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much. Pat Donahue, away to bed, long drive in the morning. Look forward to playing it back on the journey. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you for the 5
Dublin's fair city.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Janice Anderson, PSA is just a rebrand of Clinton Camp Correct the Record. Who's PSA? They rebranded after Clinton lost because they destroyed CTR. Oh, Pod Save America. That's right, because that's on our thing. Attacked burners. Anyone with ethics and empathy should dismiss those asses. Yeah, we have not talked about Pod Save America much for that reason, but I think the fact that the voter shaming and stuff is already in high gear 18 months out or whatever we are, I think that's a pretty good sign from a bunch of mischievous bastards like we are.
Which, going back to what you were saying before, they're going to come for us, man. They're going to come for us because Biden is going to lose, and they're going to be looking for people to blame, and they're going to come for us. They're going to look at the people who support third-party candidacies and are anti-Biden, and I've said it on the show before. They could shut us all down, man. They make a lot more money off motherfuckers who do videos about, well, what kind of toilets did they use in ancient Rome than they're making off of us. Well, no, really,
it's not just about the money,
like 2.5 million views on videos,
but it's
like that.
It's not just about the money those people make. Really, it really is not. And this is something that I think a lot of people have to understand. It's censorship is not just about putting down somebody's voice. It's about uplifting others, right? And we have that. But the reason why they want to put you down is because any dissidents, anybody who's pushing back against the mainstream narrative, you know what I'm saying? They're not people who get the money. They're working for people who make the money. That's how deep this goes. Big tech, media, it's a controlled environment from all the way up top. Same thing with elections, you know what I'm saying? So we're going against just crazy forces right now. And yes, they can shut us all down, but I think if there's enough of us, enough ants running around, we can find the cracks and the crevices and continue to get our information out. Listen, it's almost 3 years demonetized on YouTube. And I was looking at those, super chats, and I was like, man, I miss those. And
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh, dude, Keaton, I wear it like a badge of honor. I have.
No, I know, but I did think about that. Just so you know, it did cross my mind, but I have to read them.
I mean, that's some of what we'll get into on the other stream. But if you look at their increasing censorship around a lot of different issues, we're going to cover on our patron stream tomorrow. You just had 250 of the brain trust in Hollywood sign a letter to shut down discussion of trans issues and anything from a perspective they don't like. So really, since Trump got elected, they've decided that censorship is a legitimate means of social control. And it's really just a sign of a desperate aristocracy that knows it's losing legitimacy fast. And the more legitimacy they lose, the more desperate they're going to get. And I think that is very likely to manifest in, I mention how many views we get to make it clear to people. If you think they won't shut us down because it's going to cost them too much money, this is Google. Google owns this shit.
Yeah, they have. It's and not, as Pasta said, the incentives go far beyond money. It's about cultural clout. It's about political clout.
Sure,
absolutely.
But I'm saying it's not like they're going to look at their bottom line and say,
"No,
we hate these guys culturally, but." We really can't afford. Yeah,
I wouldn't use clout.
I really like that pasta guy.
Yeah, control. Well, indeed.
Keep them in good control. It's political control.
Of course, but it gives them clout with people who have control. Really, is what it does. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I think they're very likely to circle the wagons as they get increasingly terrified of the people.
It is said that the people are revolting.
You said it. They stink on ice.
All right. Well, we're going to take a few more of these, and then we got to get to segments because we have a time limit tonight. We got to be on Rumble at 9:30. Virtuoso.
For our tanky friends.
Dark humor, gallows humor from Virtuoso tonight. Gas stoves, anti-Semitic. Ooh. Ouch. What you call some gallows humor right there. Franklin, Trump is the only serious anti-war candidate. Thank you for the
God.
First of you. Let's get into our first segment. Since
that would be extra bullet, actually, is the
to do. Yeah.
Hang on, I want to do this thing for my tanky friends. For our tanky friends. Okay, so I got a couple of comments on my commentary on Russia in the last show. Okay, so some people were right, some people were wrong. The people who made the point that, talking about the Russia's indomitability really applies to them being invaded, not necessarily their actions in other countries. Fair enough. And they mentioned Afghanistan, they mentioned World War I. Fair enough. So really that's something that applies to invasion, as with Napoleon and as with Hitler. Some people took exception. I've seen people take exception to this idea before, that the Russians fought 5 to a rifle. That was at the beginning of the war, because for some reason, paranoid guy that he was, Stalin didn't think Hitler was going to betray him. So he was not prepared for the surprise invasion. So they just didn't have much to work with. Later on, one of the things that amazed Hitler the most was how quickly they were able to ramp up and industrialize, to the point that very quickly they were manufacturing 60 tanks a day. Hitler did not factor that in. But I would very much advise this source, which is certainly not unsympathetic to the Russian cause. It's certainly not an attack on the Russians. It's very sympathetic to the Russian side. Anthony Beaver, Stalingrad and the Battle for Berlin. Stalingrad basically ends, Battle of Berlin picks up right where it ends. You should just read them together. These are so good. I read them twice. It's very rare you're going to read that much of history twice. That's how good that is. But that gets into the whole thing about the 5 men to a rifle.
All right, so let's get to our first segment here. We're just going to do some headlines, folks, and then we're going to move over to Rumble at 9:30. Click the link. It's in the description. That takes you to our Rumble channel. Hit that follow button, and we will see you there in 1 hour. But this broke sort of at the beginning of the week. We're a little behind on the news this week, my friends. That's why we're switching to 3 streams a week starting next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. But here's some audio tape of Donald Trump talking to a publisher working on a memoir for Mark Meadows, who was Trump's final chief of staff. This is what the prosecution is going to hang him for here. Pretty much admitting that, yeah, some of the documents stacked up in the bathroom or wherever they were classified, but to the point that Trump is an anti-war candidate. I don't know if that's true philosophically, but he certainly was resistant to a war with Iran, much to the chagrin of the Defense Department. So that's what he gets into here in this sort of hidden camera audio deal. So let's play this. Actually, it's not hidden camera. He knew he was being recorded. That's one of the things that kind of makes this kind of funny, is that he apparently knew that the tape was rolling. Here we go.
That I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him.
I know that thing is on, but this is off the record.
This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like highly confidential. Secret.
It totally wins my case, except I'm not allowed to show it to anybody. Oh, that light is on? Okay, well, this is off the record, right?
This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time, you know.
She'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And, he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassify.
figure out a yeah.
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. I'm looking. And you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's
you.
incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
No, so, of course the Cokes at the end. What's that, Pasta?
I said get a couple Diet Cokes, the ones they drink in China.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Couple
Funny.
of
I mean, she almost
cheeseburgers.
sounds like it's a sting, right? Doesn't it sound like she's goading him? Doesn't it sound like she's
Do
saying?
you have any other classified information?
Right. Have any other
you'd like to
any
share?
other things you're not supposed to have here that might be used against you in the court of law while my little recorder is running? But the one thing I tweeted out in response to this is that apparently it's not a scandal that deep state functionaries were pushing war with Iran behind the scenes. Apparently the scandal is we got to find out about it because Donald Trump is a klutz and an oaf and just talked into a recorder about this. And then the other thing is, the other question I have is, let's say he gave them the war in Iran that they wanted, right? Let's say he actually gave them the war. If he actually gave them the war, do you think this tape would have seen the light of day? Or you think they would have said, no, come on.
Right.
Leave well enough alone. He gave us what we wanted.
Yeah, it's the DNC leaks all over again. The story is the leak, not what was revealed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It reminds me a lot of when he got impeached too, as well. Everybody was talking about. Can you believe he was trying to hustle Zelensky to get information about Joe Biden and Burisma? And what was the other one? The I forgot the name of the company that did the CrowdStrike, and he was trying to get all this information about election stuff, and it was like, well, why? And he was like, he was withholding, arming them. He was holding military aid, to Nazis. Like nobody's talking about that. Like we were talking about that back then. Like I think people should be talking about the crux of what's going on in the Ukraine. The fact that in 2014, that we couped their government, that are completely a proxy government, all puppets in there, and we're arming friggin' Nazis, to go over and from the West and bomb ethnic speaking Russians in the East. Like that's not the point right now. The point is Donald Trump tried to hustle, Zelensky.
Well, I asked Aaron Mate exactly that question when we interviewed him. This was months and months ago by now. But I said, was it not worth looking into Joe Biden's ties to Ukraine, especially considering what has happened since that phone call was made? Like since that phone call was made, you have Joe Biden presiding over $100 billion of dollars worth of aid to Ukraine, stoking World War III. Are his corrupt ties to that country not relevant? Should we not have looked into that? Seems pretty relevant in retrospect, no?
Well, he pressured Ukraine in exchange for aid to fire the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma. As with so many things in this story, if you had the same exact fact pattern attached to Donald Trump, these people would be braying to high heaven. They would have impeached him on those grounds. With Joe Biden, nothing to say. And actually, it would have been stronger grounds to impeach him on. With
There's
Joe Biden,
also Nancy Pelosi with her son and an energy company, carpetbagging over there. John Kerry and his kid, Mitt Romney. I mean, they were just, they were digging their. Listen, Adam Schiff, a Ukrainian oligarch that
he's Adam Schiff on this show.
He got all the contracts in Ukraine. He was throwing fundraisers for Adam Schiff for brains in California for $2,500 a plate. I mean, it was all over the place. And I don't know how Donald Trump didn't use that time when they were impeaching him and just peeling back the onion and going after these guys one by one. There was even a leaked tape that Poroshenko and Biden were talking, and Biden was like, he's going to be the president now. You got to be careful. I don't want him finding out what's going on in Ukraine. All this information was out there. And he just kind of like backpedaled on the whole issue. They're just trying to get rid of me. I'm the most popular president. They don't want me in there. Like, no, dude, there is so much stuff going on in the Ukraine right now. You can blow it out of the water.
Well, this is the thing, man. I mean, and this is what you said in response to this next segment, which I guess we'll segue into right now. When you talk about Trump going after the low-hanging fruit, right? So let's get into this a bit, because Donald Trump at a recent rally mused about banning the entry of Marxists and communists into the country, invoking seemingly a 1954 act, which he claims restricted communists and Marxists from entering the country, but actually did not. Here he is on stage talking about the need to keep Marxists and communists out, and ask the question, what are we going to do with those who are already here?
And
socialist, yes, indeed.
A new plan made them competitive. Today, I'm announcing a new plan to protect the integrity of our immigration system. Federal law prohibits the entry of communists and totalitarians into the United States.
Does it? I mean, communists, totalitarians, I can see.
But my question is, what do we do with the ones that are already here that grew up in it? I think we have to pass a new law for them. Using federal law in section 212F of the Immigration
I'd be very shocked if that's accurate. It sounds like you made that up.
Deny entry to all
I don't think you forgot.
Marxists. Those who come to and join our country must love our country. We want them to love our country. We don't want them when they want to destroy our country. Welcome to America. We want to destroy your country. Thank you very much. So we're going to keep foreign, Christian-hating communists, Marxists, and socialists out of America. We're keeping them out of America.
He's playing the classics.
Yeah, I mean, I have to
say,
yeah, it became personal.
Has he not gone to Latin America at all? I'm about to go less than 3 weeks. I'm going to be in Nicaragua, partying with Sandinistas.
I've been to Nicaragua.
Yeah, I'm going to be. I'm going to be hanging.
It was nice.
I loved it. It was the first country I went to.
Grenada.
Grenada. Okay. I went to Managua, and then I went to Billy on the Caribbean coast. They flew us over in little Cessnas. That was scary, but it was the first stamp on my passport. You know what I'm saying? I got my passport less than 2.5 years ago, and I'm going back because there's a celebration. It's the reunion of the revolution when the Sandinistas kicked back the Contras, the CIA-funded war. You know, that ties into the crack pandemic. Is it crack pandemic or epidemic? I don't know which one it is, but the crack explosion in the United States, you know what I'm saying? Freeway Rick Ross and the Iran Contra and Reagan and the whole 9 yards, you know. But the first time I went down there, guys, and I want to know what Trump's going to do. If they got a Catholic Marxist at the border, is he going to let him in? Because he said, godless cat, can it be a Catholic Mark? Because most of those people in Nicaragua, they are of Marxist ideology when it comes to their economics. They don't have the culture war bullshit down there. They're socially conservative. They're very religious. They pray on Sunday. They're not crazy about gay marriage. They don't like abortion, and they'll claim that there's only two genders now. And that's the majority of people down there.
I didn't speak Spanish as well as I do now, but I'm pretty sure an old lady tried to sell me her granddaughters.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about this pasta,
I'm not kidding.
I know.
I mean, not permanently, but for an hour.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Pasta, you tweeted this video out, and you know, one of the things I heard you talk about this, I don't know if it was on your show. You've been making the rounds. By the way, this is Pasta's third show of the day. He started the day on Hard Lens Media with our friend Kit, and then you did Trailer Park Pundit. And now you're here, so you're really putting in the work today, making the rounds. But I heard you say something to the effect of, this is Trump picking the low-hanging fruit, and I thought that was an interesting way of putting it, because one of the things we've always said on this show is that we don't think Trump ever really understood his sort of cross-partisan appeal the way, say, like Steve Bannon did. Like, Steve Bannon is an actual like right-wing populist who understood that Trump could actually make inroads with some of the Bernie Sanders primary voters and pull in some of the left-wingers and some of the more apolitical working-class people. And he was sort of aware of that appeal philosophically in a way that Trump never really seemed to be. And this just seems to be playing to the base. So do you want to speak to that a bit?
Well, it's like my mother said, the masses are asses, and that's who I'm going with that comment. I mean, he's just, when I say the low-hanging fruit, that's what I mean. The very uneducated, the people who want to blame everything on China and communism. The other day I was in New York, and a friend of mine was like, China owns 80% of our wheat. I'm like, no, that's not true. You should really look under BlackRock and see what's going on and see who's controlling things. But that's what it is. And this
I think that's
war,
Monsanto. They meant Monsanto.
Monsanto. This war that we're experiencing, this culture war, a lot of it is what I try to explain to people, especially my conservative populist right people, is that they shouldn't buy into the communist thing, because it's not about like really communism. It's just communism versus anti-communism, right? And then on the left, you have these people who call everybody on the right capitalist, and it's just another divisive way of pitting the people against each other rather than looking up. Most of the cappuccino communists in America, they're not like full-blown, Leninists, Trotskyites or whatnot. Very few of them really get into that. What they're for is for labor rights. That's what they want. They don't want to see the corporations taking over, so they put themselves in kind of this Marxist ideology of sorts. Then, of course, you got the culture war bullshit, which really cultural Marxism doesn't come from them. But that's what the majority of those people who claim to be a socialist and communist, they don't want to see the corporations taking over. And I try to explain to them that those people on the right who call themselves capitalists, they're not like just all like hardcore about capital and what that. They just believe that capitalism is freedom of choice, not being told what to do. So if you really dissect and get into what these two parties are, you can actually get them to come together and speak with one another, unlike what Donald Trump is doing right here. And that's being very divisive. You know what I'm saying? And I get it's the primary time and he's going for that low hanging fruit. But, I mean, once you start going down that road, it's hard to walk away from. That's really, really, I was very upset with Donald Trump that he went there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Well, he's, you have to remember, Donald Trump's like a gazillion years old. He's playing the classics. Like that's going back to right-wing rhetoric from when he was young. Yeah. Right? It's this very Cold War, the communists and the Marxists. Nobody talks like that anymore on either side. If you saw, I thought it was terrible, but if you saw The Irishman, Scorsese's movie for Netflix, where for some reason, instead of casting young actors, he decided to put these old men through that and CGI them. They had a lot of scenes with the Teamsters. And I'm sure they looked at actual transcripts of things that they said. These guys sound like fucking Marxist-Leninists. Like, you look at the kind of language that they're using about the worker versus the owners, and they said that kind of rhetoric. I think after the 30s became mainstream in American politics for a very long time, and with the Reagan Revolution, it got gradually driven out and then completely buried with the New Democrats. So now we're like 2 generations away from people being fluent in class economics. So that's what that was very striking to me when I watched that, because you listen to these speeches of guys that today you would think of as like MAGA Republicans, right? Yeah, we're gonna go down there, right? But they're all talking in these very class-oriented, Marx-inspired language.
I really just thought that, I guess you see, it's kind of funny. Like, we talked about that first clip with Donald Trump talking about the documents, and it's being a little bit like, stupid by kind of reading them out aloud. And I should have declassified that. I could have declassified. I mean, you're just like, like you just incriminated yourself there, pal. And they're going to probably go after him for that no matter what. It's like they do have something right now because he's admitted that they weren't declassified and he was showing. So they'll try to get him to reach some type of deal where he'll have to just drop out and not run if he isn't a Trojan horse, because sometimes I think he is that. But when he's actually reading the substance, and for him to stop and not go to war with Iran, that is huge. You know what I'm saying? So that you always think that these areas where he's not really the anti-war candidate, right? Let's stop that right away. But he is more anti-war than Joe Biden. And one of the things I liked about your last show was when you guys gave me credit for saying, gun to the head, I'm voting for Trump over Biden right away. You know what I'm saying? because I can just think and answer practically. And sometimes you just hope that we're moving towards that. And sometimes I'm questioning myself, is Trump a wolf in sheep's clothing, or is he really an outsider? And if he's really an outsider and he's trying to make some differences, yeah, he's a little dumb, but he can get smarter, right? And I would think he would find that lane, like that Jimmy Dore lane, to just speak practically across the board to Republicans, Democrats, Team Blue, Team Red, and do so, not be so divisive right there. So it just proved to me.
Well, that's the thing. I think he has a lot of Nixon's weaknesses without any of his intelligence. That tape reminded me of in Oliver Stone's Nixon. There's a scene where his wife, and I don't know if this actually happened or if it was dramatization, but it was an interesting analysis or theory. His wife accuses him of doing those tapes because of a compulsion to show off, right? To show how mean he could be and how in control he is and how nasty he is. It almost seems like Trump has that compulsion, but he's just such a moron. Just such an absolute moron that he would go so far as to say these things that just obviously incriminate him. Like, Nixon had good reason to believe that they were never going to come for those tapes. Whereas Donald Trump had no good reason to believe when he's talking to a fucking reporter that these tapes will never be heard. It's just absolutely mind-blowing.
That's a good point, because that signals to me that he doesn't understand his appeal, and he still probably doesn't understand why he is so reviled by Washington. As much as he goes out there and says, yeah, the swamp hates me and they're not coming for me, they're coming for you, I'm just in their way. If you actually had a real understanding of why, then you would be very tight-lipped anytime a red light is blinking in your presence. Anytime that you see you're being recorded, you would not so casually.
Yeah, he's just so at his
hey, I
bring us a couple of cokes.
But hey, take a look at this. Well, we can't tell this to anybody, right? Don't show that to anybody. Hey, bring a Coke in here, right? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And I think one of the big pieces of evidence for this is what Russell has said in the past, which is if he really understood his appeal, he would not have gotten rid of Steve Bannon. He would not have let his ego get the best of him and kick Steve Bannon to the curb, because Bannon understood that, and he understood that threat. Like a lot of those red pill speeches that Trump gave in the closing days of the 2016 campaign, those were damn good speeches, and those were Bannon speeches. Bannon clearly wrote those, and Trump read them off a prompter. So, like, if you had an understanding of that, you would act accordingly, and he seems incapable of acting accordingly.
Yeah, and not only that, if he had Bannon, he might have actually been effective, because people talk about Trump, I mean, his followers, as if, he didn't take any shit. Actually, he took a lot of shit. He, for the most part, as much as he would rhetorically reject Washington and the swamp, most of the time he did what they pressured him to do. Right? He had a very antagonistic policy towards Russia. He might have said some things, but if you look at the actual policy, he was harder on Russia than Obama was. Did he want to be? Clearly not. He felt like, as much as he might have said, oh, the press, the enemy of the people, he was a creature of the tabloids in New York. He very much cared about what the press thought of him, or he wouldn't have made those kinds of decisions. Something we will talk about more on Rumble. Fauci. If he really had the courage of his convictions, he would have fired Fauci right at the beginning of the pandemic. He would have fired him immediately. He kept him the whole time. So how independent was he from those expectations, really?
Well, at least, when it comes to, first of all, let me just say this much. I try to be as polite and kind to everybody out there, even people I disagree with. And there's some warmongers out there that I would just scream at if I saw them in the street and just yap at them, like Victoria Nuland or an Anthony Blinken. But when it comes to media, I try to be as professional, as nice as I can. Not when it comes to Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec and those guys. There's bad players in my mind that I have a shit line, and once you cross it, no way. And if Bannon was still there, we might have been at war with China for all I know. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of thankful he's gone, because that guy is the biggest China hawk on the planet.
Well,
and
that is
anybody
true.
who does anything wrong, even Elon Musk, he's a puppet of the Chinese Communist Party. Lula's a puppet of the Chinese Communist Party. You know that guy who's working at McDonald's, whatnot, the other day to give me my Diet Coke? He's a puppet of the Communist Chinese Party. You know, like he's just ridiculous. So there are pros and cons, and I can understand why a lot of people stick with Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon is really smart, you know. But
he was the Rove. He was the Karl Rove of the operation. He understood
and
his political appeal.
Yes, and actually understood how to communicate better with the base better than, you know, those other guys in the Bush administration knew how to do, you know, to communicate with. He was, you know, he's got the whole war room thing going. So I think he was just as effective outside of the president's, cabinet as he is inside it, you know? So.
Well, but Trump wasn't as effective. If Trump had Bannon, I have no doubt that Trump would have been reelected. There's no doubt in my mind.
No, Trump was not being reelected.
He would have had a second term.
No.
He would have had.
He will get it now. He probably will get it now. It seems like they're setting it up for that to happen. But there was no way he was getting it because.
Oh no, they'll never let him back.
I don't want to say
building.
anything on YouTube, but about elections, 81 million votes. That guy keeps on saying that Putin's losing the war to Iraq. 81 million votes. If you really want to believe that, Russell, I got some land to sell you over here in Florida in the Everglades.
In the Everglades, you're in Boca Raton, right?
Highland Beach, which is Boca Raton on the water. So,
all right. There are no YouTube disclaimers that we have to say, right, for the elections. Just like I know with the
not anymore,
with the pandemic.
In theory,
the 2020 general election was the safest and most effective election in all the history of elections.
All right, look, I'm just gonna say it. The election was stolen by transgender drag queens. All right, done.
Yeah, there you go.
Done.
Nicole,
I got it all.
Here we go. We got an effect here. Russell, DueDissidence has 666 followers on Rumble. Please do your thing.
That's awesome.
Does it? Did we?
Yeah.
Did we?
Well, we crossed it now. Some of you guys are signing up.
Devils.
Hit that subscribe button.
All right.
We
fair
are
enough.
on in a half hour.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Pasta. We're around the same age. Still remember how to bang your head?
What'd you say?
So you still got the stuff? Can you still bang your head, Pasta?
I thought you were going to do Quiet Riot. Bang your head.
You know what? My very first
taken off of YouTube. You can
my
get a copyright strike for singing that, Keaton. Don't give me that look.
Yeah,
My very first concert was Iron Maiden with Quiet Riot opening.
Nice.
I was so young. I paid with my piggy bank $13.50 and change. That's how much it was.
That come on, feel the noise, girls rock your boys. That was the
rock your boys.
That was a summer camp song.
Oh yeah.
Meteor Dreams. France is burning right now. Any opinions? Yeah, the French riots are back going on. Well, Russell and I are very behind on the news. I feel kind of irresponsible this week.
I mean, we have an excuse. We've been digging into the RFK.
Right, we've been reading the RFK book and we've been prepping some other stuff, so we have a little bit of an excuse. But yeah, no, I'm all for French style protest. Absolutely.
Hang on, is it like right now? Did something happen, or
no? It's been going on.
Oh yeah. Protests and unrest gripped France after police officer kills teen during traffic stop. I didn't hear that. I'm literally reading it off my feed right now.
Yeah, that was the police killing, right?
I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah. I heard about it. I didn't look into it. Like I said, there's a bunch of news that's been going on that because we've been doing a more specified itinerary this week. We're a little behind on headlines, but we'll be there on Sunday. And like I said, folks, starting next week, 3 shows a week: Sunday night, Wednesday night, Friday morning. So we'll be more up to date on the news. Thank you to Kuznetsky Basane for the super sticker. I just want to shout out our Patreon members here. Sorry, folks, we're running on a condensed timeline. See, time flies. We only got a half hour, and then we got to switch over to Rumble. So I got to get through these before then. Abiding, thanks for the 99 cents. We appreciate that. Rodrigo Mendez. Sounds like RFK wants to replace Dennis Kucinich. Have you heard that, Pasta?
No, I haven't heard that at all. But I mean,
I haven't heard that either.
A few things going on that it's a little sloppy, but I haven't heard that at all.
What have you thought of what do you think is going on that's a little bit sloppy? I mean, we're going to talk more RFK in the post game on Rumble, but any brief takes?
there's now 2 tweets that have been put up and taken down that are really disturbing. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that needs to be addressed. There's now an issue where he said something at the Pork Fest, I believe, which was in New Hampshire, which I was talking about. They have on their license plate "Live Free or Die" about guns, and supposedly it was a little bit different than what he expressed on News Nation in the town hall thingamajig. So I think that's
so that was there. Then, yeah,
right. You know, and maybe the way he's approaching the campaign, it's interesting what he took down. It makes him look indecisive. All right, so he had the situation, and they brought up that stupid event he was supposed to be at that he has to, he had to also retract, and they kind of go after him for an event he'd even speak at or go to. So there's a little indecisiveness there, but that's going to happen with a guy who wasn't in politics for quite some time. You know, the Second Amendment thing, like, I'm kind of wishy-washy on myself. I mean, now I'm pro-Second Amendment, but I wasn't. And, you know, there was probably a time when I was talking about something and somebody told me something about guns, and I kind of changed my mind the next day on it, you know? So it's not
that
like
question about. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it's not something I'm kind of agnostic about it sometimes.
Yeah, no, I am too. And I thought the question about the Moms for Liberty was not fair. I mean, that some of these guys seem like plants. You know, some of these guys seem like they're there to target him and stuff like that. They said, you know, why would you go and speak before this organization given their anti-LGBT activism and rhetoric? And he literally said, one of my staffers accepted the interview. Once I found out their views on LGBT issues, I canceled. And then the guy's like, well, you can't blame your staff. He said, well, he's not I mean, he's saying once I found out who they were, I canceled. I mean, well, what more can you ask? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to say? Well, what does it say that your staff said yes? I mean, you know, he's taken a lot of interviews, man. I mean, that's been his strategy, is to get a lot of exposure.
News Nations need to tighten it up, because even the way the moderator, you know, I don't know. Listen, when I was talking to Cornel West, I was telling him, Cornel West, there's a lot of conservatives who say this. There's a lot of people who say that. Why don't they continue to just use that method of saying, well, what are you going to do when this person says this to you? Like, she was doing her own emotions. Like, well, Putin's an autocrat. Come on, Putin's a dictator. Like, why are you even going there? Why wouldn't you go, well, some people say Putin's a dictator. Some people say Putin's, you know what I'm saying? It's so weird that they have to kind of implement that whole, like, little, I'm angry myself, that kind of come on emotion there. I mean, you know, they're sloppy across the board in mainstream media. They need to get it together.
Yeah. I noticed you were on with our friend Jose Vega last night, doing a commentary on that. That was well done. Jose is great. Abiding, thanks for the 99 cents. Appreciate that. Tusker says, thanks, Russell. They were moving their factories behind the Urals because they knew increased production was going to be necessary to win. There you go. Back in
I mean, this is where it's crazy. It's like, no, nothing ever was problematic in Russia. It was only unicorns. Like, look, they got surprise invaded. They didn't have enough rifles. I mean, if anything, I've never read that story as a story of Russian incompetence. I've read it as a story of Russian
perseverance. Like, of course.
Yeah, like, I don't think
I heard that the Americans sold some tanks while they were industrializing to keep things going. I don't know if that was at what time they did that, but
under the Lend-Lease program.
Okay, yeah. So kind of put that Band-Aid on there so they can get there, you know.
Now you have some people who very reflexively, like, if you say anything about Russia, if you say anything about China, unless it is people fart rainbows and it's always sunny out, they just have this knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. We don't have to bring up Caleb Maupin, so do we? I mean, come on. He's my friend, so that's cool.
I don't know anything about Caleb Maupin. I don't know. I never heard of Caleb Maupin. I don't know anything about
Listen, all I'm going to say with RFK, he lost all of us. He lost all the Roger Waters
got
people.
The Roger Waters thing, yeah.
I got the shirt on and everything. Look, man, if you get to ask him another question, I want you to ask him what his favorite track on Dark Side of the Moon is.
Well, I can't wait to get over to Rock and Rumble, because I have questions for you guys about that. You know, I mean, I grew up in Boca Raton. You know, I went to high school out here, and I had a lot of mentors, a lot of, you know, girls I knew and that I dated, their dads, and friends I had, their fathers. They were Zionists, but they were some of the coolest guys, you know, I've ever met my whole life. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had that. where it's, you know, I mean, it doesn't excuse everything that's going on, but there becomes like this kind of understanding, you know what I'm saying, of sorts, where you don't demonize everybody.
We come from Jewish families. We know a lot of people who are pro-Israel for sure. You know, I don't cast them out of my life, but I wouldn't vote for them for president either. That's what I'd say. But let's get this wrapped up. We've got one more segment to do. Frank Worsham.
Spaceship. Jesus.
Liberals care more about process crimes.
Why are you discriminating against Italians?
We'll get to it in 1 second. I got to get through these. We're out of time. We're on a time crunch here this evening. Liberals care more about process crimes than war crimes. That is for sure. Thank you, Franklin.
Very true.
Thank you, Gilhouse, for the $4.99. And the word is from Tom S. Thanks for the $5. Trump and others are about to be hit with another 45 charges in Florida and New Jersey due to publicly undisclosed evidence. Well,
where's that word coming from?
We will see what they got.
I mean, I would like to know. Because it's possible. Look, I've been saying all along, they are not letting Trump in the White House unless he signs up for a tour. That is the only way he's getting back in the fucking White House. Okay, there is no way they are letting that man back in. So
all right,
they'll do what they have to do.
All right, Russell, here's your spaceship story. Virgin Galactic launched today.
Damn it.
First commercial flight in history.
Full disclosure.
It was a success.
It was a success in spite of its Italian crew. It still worked out. They did have an American astronaut in charge, though. So they were up there very briefly. I watched the launch live because, I mean, after what happened with the sub, I mean, I was
we had our hopes up we were going to get another piece of material out of it.
We thought we were going to get another week out of that, but no, it turned out it went safely.
So it was a jet that went up for a while, and
basically the way they've got this thing designed, it launches off a plane, very much like the way the sub launched off a ship, actually. So I will read a little bit. Galactic 01's customers were the Italian Air Force and the nation's National Research Council, which booked a flight for suborbital research in 2019. The two organizations put 3 people on board Unity today. Walter Velade, a colonel in the Italian Air Force, Lieutenant Colonel Angelo Landolfini, and Pantaleone Carlucci. That's a tough name to live with.
Way to go, buddy.
A strategic project coordinator for the CNR's stratospheric and air launch programs. Now, one interesting fun fact, Branson started this company in 2004, and he told his investors he was going to do what they just did today for the first time by 2007. So those are some long-suffering investors. By the way, I wasn't on board back in those days. I was too busy getting drunk. But I am an investor in the
Did it just go up for a while? Is it still up there? Is it staying up there for a while?
Nah. It was a very short flight. Like, basically the way this worked, they just dropped it. The thruster ignited. It went up. They did their experiments. Like, they had some science experiments they were running, like on neuroplasticity, on cells and things like that. And then just back down. Like, the whole flight from the time they disengaged from the plane to the time they landed, it's like a half-hour flight. Like 11:10 to 11:40.
That's it.
All right. We got one more segment, and then we are heading over to Rumble. Folks, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button here, but then find that Rumble link in the description of the video and follow us over there and meet us there in 18 minutes. But
can I just say something? Listen, my friend Tusker is the biggest commie Marxist Leninist I know. And she digs being called a tanky, so I'm going to go by that. She's a bigger tanky than any of you other tankies around here.
Right, the rest of you are posers.
The rest of you are posers. She's the original tanky.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't like it, you take it up with my friend Tusker.
All right, let's get into a little bit of 2024. This will segue nicely into our Rumble post game here. The Pod Save America guys are not worth covering, not worth paying attention to, which is why we've never really gotten to take any digs at them. But given Cornel West's 6% showing in the first major poll since he entered the race, John Favreau, speechwriter for Barack Obama, And actually, very briefly, a speechwriter for the Hillary Clinton 2016 campaign, he quit in a number of weeks because it was too insufferable even for a shit-lived functionary like him.
Wow.
Yeah, because he and Obama worked very intimately hand in hand on the speeches. They would actually write them together and workshop them. And when he wrote Hillary's campaign launch speech, he got like 20 emails at once from all these different staffers. Cut this, add it. He's like, no, I can't. Fuck this. I'm out. So he was briefly on the campaign. But what's that?
He was great in swingers.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah.
I swear to God, because there were so many ties with Obama and Hollywood, and he did hire the guy from Harold and Kumar. Was that the name?
Exactly?
Yeah. No, when I first heard Jon Favreau, I assumed it was
the Jon Favreau.
Of course, why not? Like that wasn't out of the realm of possibility with Obama.
No, and it's not that common a name. But here he is explaining the effectiveness of voter shaming, or well, actually, he doesn't explain it. He gets corrected by one of his co-hosts. But he spells it out here in a way that I think we should be very proud of and we should really embrace. And we should answer these people very, very simply. So here's Jon Favreau from Pod Save America on the prospect of third-party voting in 2024.
If the people who voted for Jill Stein, just Jill Stein in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania had voted for Hillary instead, Donald Trump would have never become president.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm sure there's a lot of Cornel West fans out there. You live in a swing state,
right?
Vote for Cornel West, you're helping Trump become president.
Right. Exactly.
That's it.
Sounds good.
And you can say, oh, well, it's
like
Joe Biden's fault he did this or that. No. It's your decision.
Your fault.
Yeah, no, it is our decision.
Do you promise?
Whether you want to help Donald Trump become president or you don't.
I would say I do.
If you want to help him, then you should vote for Cornel West.
Okay, good.
Or you should vote for Joe Manchin and his no labels ticket.
Less likely, but fine.
RFK Jr. if he decides.
Yeah,
can I
Why don't we just embrace
Chappelle?
Hey, okay,
you got to vote for
cool.
Joe Biden.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's it.
Then
very simple. Now, I think
same shit
messaging to voters who might actually make this decision is probably a little different, I would say, because
chastising works.
Double down.
I think you need to explain why these candidates would not be good candidates for president.
All right, well, I'll stop you there. You don't have to explain to me why Cornel West or RFK would be worse than Joe Biden. That's not going to work on any of us here. But I thought the first part of that was the most interesting. Like, we need to explain to them that if they vote for Cornel West as a swing state, they're going to be helping Trump. Yeah, no, I get that. That's fine.
If you just look at the insufferable smugness of these fucking people, like you want to understand why people hate you, look in a mirror. Just replay that and imagine someone talk that way about you. Right? Are you under the impression that the internet is not public? Right? Like you understand that the people you want to persuade are going to hear this, right? He's talking like they don't have access. Well, those people, we're going to have to talk to them differently. They're listening to you, moron.
What did you think of that, Pasta? I'm sure you've seen that before.
First of all, I was fixated on that Starburst cup he had with soda water and a purple top. Where do you get purple tops at Starbucks anywhere like that, where it's different than the actual cup?
Is that true?
Aside from, look at that thing.
Look at that. Oh yeah,
where is that?
It's like a makeshift Starbucks cup.
That's
like
got a metal straw in there,
to like a baby. Like if you bring your baby to Starbucks and ask for a water for the baby, that's what they give you.
The metal
the
straw,
plastic cup with the straw and the colored cap. Yeah, yeah. Good.
I reused this cup. No, I mean, look, it was not surprising. We've seen this tactic before. We've seen it just recently. We've seen it for a long time. It reminds me of this episode of The West Wing I used to see, and I forgot her name. She eventually became the star of Weeds. She had
her.
You know what I'm talking about, right? So she was married Louise. No.
Yeah,
something like that. She's Mary Louise Parker. Mary Louise Parker.
Mary Louise Parker. She was hot. I've always liked her, right?
Yeah.
And she was on for a couple seasons, and she was working for this like one lone kind of the Bernie Sanders senator, right? Who decided to run. And the other character's name, the guy from Billy Madison, I forgot his name, but his name was Josh Lyman. And he would say, I can't believe you have letting him run and you're taking away our votes. And she like stops and looks at him. She goes, it's not his votes. And then the music comes and they think and they walk away. And it was just like, metaphorically, it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the message, they wanted to kind of give you like free will out there, but it seems like they've gotten to a situation like, no, we're joking that they weren't serious over there. Like, no, if you vote for Jill Stein, you're helping Donald Trump. If you vote for Dr. Cornel West, you are helping fascism. You are helping evil man get in there. Don't do it.
Trump broke their brains because they just never thought that someone who was not approved of by the establishment, whether Republican or Democrat, could win. I mean, they'll never articulate it that way because a lot of that is subliminal programming.
Yeah.
But that was the cognitive dissonance of Trump being elected. Right?
I remember
it defied everything they believed.
I remember Ralph Nader on Bill Maher and what's the fat guy's name who made all the good movies? That's now Michael Moore.
Michael Moore.
Right. Begging Ralph Nader to not run because it was going to help George W. Bush become president because Ralph Nader was going to take away votes from, I don't know if it was Kerry or...
That would have been Kerry that time.
It was John Kerry. Was the second time? Okay, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So,
it wouldn't have been the first time.
This has been around for quite some time. It's just like when Cornel West, we had the interview, and I was like, Dr. Cornel West, that conservatives and people on the populist right, they haven't liked or have been crazy about immigrants coming into this country for quite some time. And you sit there and keep on going, they're xenophobic. No, they think there's just a limited amount of resources, and they want to see their own citizens get their resources first. There might be a little xenophobia in there somehow. I don't know, a little bit, but that's their main cause and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's not like these issues are brand new. They've been around it's just the same old retro played over and over again.
Well, we are going to talk about your interview with Cornel because I thought you did a fantastic job on that, as I'm sure you know. I'm sure you watched our segment on that, but I want to talk to you about it a little more in depth on Rumble in 10 minutes. So we are going to get out of here in just a moment, folks. I'm going to take these final few super chats and then part 2 on Rumble, Rokfin, and Twitter exclusively. So click that Rumble link in the description of this video and meet us over there at 9:30. We'll start a brief countdown just to give everybody some time to get over there. So we'll probably start a couple minutes after 9:30.
That's where we put on our MAGA hats.
Right, and let it
reveal ourselves for who we really are.
Ruthless Criticism, thanks for the $2. Branson gets it. Orcas can't fly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good one. Yeah, safe up there. Don't have to worry about that. Good one. Indeed. Cool Blue, Con Save America, providing needless assistance for people by instructing citizens on how to vote. I'm Russell's age. I reject their help. Indeed. And Ruthless Criticism, again, with the sarcasm, concise and poignant analysis from PodSafe. Never heard this argument before. Interesting. Yeah, no, exactly. Act like that's a very original, very original thing. All right, folks. We're going to get out of here. We're going to start part 2 on Rumble at 9:30. I do want to, this shouldn't be the last you see of us. You should all come and hang out on Rumble. It's going to be a great time. So please
visit the concession stand.
Yes, exactly.
We have a fully stocked bar.
Please do that. If for some reason you're not going to be cool and do that, please give a round of applause to our friend Craig Pasta Jardula. And please visit his Give, Send, Go /RFK Media to help him do some of the reporting that he talked about at the top of this show. Pasta does fantastic work. Pasta, it's always great to see you. I'm going to tell you your fake goodbye now since we're going to see you in 10 minutes. But for all of these closed-minded YouTubers who don't come to Rumble, this will be the last they see of you this evening. But head on over there, folks, and make sure you meet us. We'll be over there at 9:30. All right. Are we all ready?
Do they get a prayer ball? Do they get a prayer ball even if they're not going to Rumble?
Yeah, no, we do the singing bowl. We'll do the outro now.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is the Rokfin premium only or no?
No, it's free.
Okay, cool.
I made it open to the public. So I just got to go over there and start that. We're going to start a countdown. We'll give ourselves a few minutes. So we'll have a little intermission, folks. Go hit the bar, go use the bathroom, and then be back on Rumble very, very soon. If you do not join us there, as you should, we'll see you back here Sunday night at 7 p.m. Until then, of course, be safe and be well.
Welcome to the middle of the film.
Right. Be back in 15 minutes, folks.
Please clap.